This is the talk of Music City real estate.
Welcome back to another episode of the Talk of Music City Real Estate,
where we educate and motivate all things real estate.
My name is Monty Moore with Realty One Group Music City.
Hey, and I'm Carey Ann with CMG Financial and my mortgage team.
Every week we'll be posting a new episode chock full of Nashville real estate value.
Yes, and you can follow along and subscribe at talkmusiccity.com.
Got a question for us? Ask away at questions@talkmusiccity.com. That's questions@talkmusiccity.com.
Money.
Carey Ann, you're looking amazing today.
Bright. Bring it in the bright.
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Amazing. Looks like you're ready for Christmas or something there.
This is orange. This is a fall color. Get with the program.
That's orange.
That's orange.
It's not red,
You know,
y'all.
when she said it was orange, it became more orange than what I thought it was red.
Okay, moving right along. They're not in a fashion, but we have the one and only Blake Johnson with us
and
today.
We're going to be talking.
We're so excited.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a topic that I think is going to bring a lot of value to all the real estate community out there.
Absolutely.
We're really excited about it. If not directly, indirectly, by just the awareness. So looking forward to talking about that.
Super important, for sure.
With you, Blake Johnson. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about our amazing sponsor. We're very grateful for Music City Removal. They're the #1 junk removal service in Nashville for residential, commercial, and construction. They're experts in removing junk. Their costs include labor and dumping fees without any hidden or added expenses. So whether you need a full clean out or just one item removed, they have you covered.
The Music City Removal team knows the importance of respect and trust while in someone else's home. They understand the inconvenience of junk left behind by previous homeowners and tenants and are determined to provide an affordable and customer-focused junk removal service that puts you first. For a free on-site estimate, just go to musiccityremoval.com. That's musiccityremoval.com.
Yes, Music City Removal, because clutter ain't cute.
Shazam!
But my jacket is, y'all. My jacket
even though it is
cute.
red.
Yeah, I was going to say, even though it's red.
No, this is a bright, fabulous
It's beautiful.
burnt
It's
orange,
beautiful. Okay.
Burnt orange. Hey,
It's
you know,
beautiful.
when in doubt, wear bright colors. It brightens up the room. It's a lot of fun.
Boy.
In a previous session, we talked about disc, right? So this is my eye jacket.
That's definitely an eye jacket.
This brings out a lot of personality. There you go. So what are we talking about with the one and only? And first, let me congratulate you, Mr. Married Man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I know.
It's been a great 3 months.
I love it.
3 months.
A lot of change. The bachelor pad's not really working out for us, but it's all right. We're going to be using you guys to buy a house after the first of the year. So
I love that. I love that. You know, marriage comes and, look at the pro over
I was
here.
going to say, Master Monty over there.
I think I got it figured out now after the fourth time.
Hey, well, I was a runaway bride. I put my mom through how many weddings, Lord, and ran her right at the end. So, we're really excited for you. We wish you all the best and so much happiness and so much fun with your beautiful bride. So we're talking not about bride nor fashion today, but we are talking about what?
We're talking about
Something just as sexy, though.
Oh, way more so. No, not way more so. But something that's really, I think that if the agents out there listening haven't really delved into this part of it, it's something to add value to your, a tool in your
huge
tool
tools.
belt. I think, because as we know here in Middle Tennessee, a whole lot of real estate is being purchased by investors.
You
and
think?
most investors don't want to be managing their properties, and a lot of them already have a management company, but we're very blessed to have Blake Johnson heading up an awesome management company. He comes from a management background, so Blake, let's talk about that. First of all, we know that you now are the proud owner of Hawthorne Carter Management Group, management company. So, but before we go to that point, let's talk about what made you qualified to even do this, and tell us a little your background, what makes you an authority on the topic, and then let's delve into the differences, because there's a lot of property management companies out there. Why Hawthorne Carter?
So, yeah, appreciate it. So I come from a background in property management. I started in multifamily. So I was an apartment leasing guy, basically a cat in a bird cage kind of thing. You walk in, I want an apartment, I go show the apartment, I leased it kind of thing. I worked my way up. spent about 4.5, almost 5 years specifically in the leasing property management side, whether it was on site. My final position, I guess, if you will, in property management was more on the corporate housing side. So I dealt with the upper echelon of properties nationwide. So I was the VP of the specific division, Southeast Division, where it was my focus to grow into different markets. So I have years of experience from on-site to national property management. And I thought that it would be really kind of the natural next step, because as a licensed agent, knowing and having a trusted vendor to, in this specific case, take care of my clients after maybe I purchase or sell their property, I want to make sure that they're taken care of on the property management side. And coming from a background where I have the experience, it was one of those easy, okay, we could set it up, we could make this, because I'll get into it later. It's not a one size fits all property management. There's a difference between a good one and a bad one, or in this specific case, an excellent one or a sub-excellent property manager. So Hawthorne.
I don't
Carter.
think sub and excellent can be in the same phrase, can they?
It was a little playoff, like subpar kind of thing. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
I'm still playing with that.
Okay.
You're good, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think in any field, you're going to have somebody who's well experienced in it and possibly not. Other people, right now, because it's so hot to buy your first investment property, and you can do it with only 15% down. I mean, that's a huge win. Yeah. Wow. So Fannie and Freddie allow for that.
That's what I was hoping to get into also is the financing for this.
Right. And so many as real estate agents, we just focus on what we have right in front of us. We don't think about, possibly finding opportunities where they can use other parts of the funds for one particular scenario and purchase another. Right. And if they do buy their first investment property, then what? Right. Meaning maybe they're not from here. Maybe they don't actually live here. I had a gentleman call me earlier today from Austin, Texas, looking, for an investment property here. Who's going to manage his, property? So having that tool is so key.
I agree. And that fear, I think, is what keeps a lot of people from moving forward, not knowing what the next step is. And I think as a real estate professional, if we can direct them to somebody that we know has got their back. I mean, guys, I used to own 10 investment properties myself at one time. Wow. So I can argue that side of self-management, but my God, I can tell you some war stories too that would make you want to never ever do that again, because it really, really helps having a third party in the middle of that, somebody that you can trust. And
I don't have any investment properties, and that's not a good thing for me, but I don't want to be that, right? And too scared, and I don't know. I'm not educated enough to know about, who to hire.
I was trying to save that 10% or 8% or whatever percent. I was trying to save that. And my goodness, it's like when I used to wrestle with some folks deciding to go online and find a lender. I would remind them that, look, you might save some little tiny amount, but here's the deal. You will earn every penny of that savings in the incompetency that you're probably going to be dealing with. That's just the way it is. There's no local accountability and so forth and so on. So we deal with that all the time from the mortgage standpoint. I know you do too. But let's learn more about what is that difference, Blake, between an okay management company and not so.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. I always ask, I do a lot of consults, primarily with realtors, because that's how we position this business, to be a resource for real estate agents, to have that trusted vendor, that trusted property management, or that arrow in their quiver, if you will. A lot of times these homeowners are just kind of, okay, what really are your fees? There's a stigmatization that it's 10%, that's it kind of thing. We're a fully customizable property management firm. In fact, our first couple of properties were real estate agents who owned property, who realized the importance of not self-managing. Because I always ask this to the owners, what happens when that tenant's late? What do you do? For me, it's you're late on the 6th, there's a 10% late fee, and I turn you over to my attorneys on the 10th. Do you have an attorney to take care of that? Do you have that process in place? And do you also maintain that high expectation on the front end of the relationship? Because it's going to be one of those situations where I really like this tenant, I have this relationship with this tenant, they are coming on to some financial hardships. Are you prepared for that if that happens? Because
the heart in the business, right? Get interviewing.
And I mean, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, but at the end of the day, is for me, I was sourcing this one. We don't discriminate based on any of that stuff, but specifically, if it's a property that's $1,000 a month or $10,000 a month, that doesn't matter to us. We are service before self. That's just how I built this business. We had this one particular client, the margins weren't really there to be able to do this and make a little money on the back end, cover the expenses, and also cover a property manager. And he decided that he wanted to do it on his own. It was $1,000 a month rental, which is totally fine. And I told him, okay, I'd do this for 10%, and the margin wasn't there, but he is constantly tapping into my expertise, if you will. What would you do in a situation like this? What would you do in a situation like this? So at the end of the day, 10%, that's a $1,200 expense yearly to have that protection, have my access to vendors, my attorneys, my operational excellence,
Huge
if you
value,
will.
huge value.
$1,200 a month gets you that.
Yeah.
A year.
So a year. Sorry, that's what I meant. But
yeah, I've lived down that path where I had, and I learned so much. When I started buying real estate years ago, nobody told me the little things to know. For instance, don't ask the current landlord if they're a good tenant or not. You have to go back at least one more, because the current landlord, if they're bad, will tell you whatever you need to hear to get rid of them. Okay,
Yeah.
you don't accept a relative's utility bill receipts, because the utility companies know how the game's played. I mean, there's so many things. You don't ask for $150 pet deposit that's not refundable. Well, hell, you require $1,000 that's refundable. Then when Fido's got to get out, go in the middle of the night, say, well, I lost that $150 anyhow. Go ahead, go right here in this corner, kind of thing.
Yep.
So there's so many little things, but the hardest part, I think, Blake, the hardest thing for me, and again, this was taken from somebody that was trying to carry 10 of them at one time, or a couple things. One of them is, do you have the mental capacity, or do you have the mental strength to lay your head down and sleep peacefully when you got 10 or however many water heaters, that could go out tonight, or roofs that could flood, or God forbid, what happened to me, one of my properties is the septic backed up into the lower part of the house, those kind of problems. But I'll never forget one time where I rented the place to a really awesome family, and the guy ended up getting on some sort of major drugs. And his family left him. He was sitting there, broken as a human being. I had to pay him $500 for his fridge so he had money to move. One time I evicted somebody, and they came back and rubbed a poop all over my front door. Now, I know we probably can't say the P word on this, but I'm just saying, I would have paid a lot more than 10% is the moral of the story there.
And I think it would be hard knowing even the guidelines from this past year. I mean, the tenant guidelines, they had a lot of flexibility, right? Meaning, I think with the COVID rules, they didn't have to pay rent and things, right? Ooh. So I put it so as an owner, it is difficult to have investment properties, but having seasoned professionals that back you to know what you're allowed to do, what you can do, the best practices and strategies is key.
I always say, I have such high expectations, not only for my owners, but also for my tenants. As long as we're maintaining consistency, fair housing requires us to do that, we're okay. I always say, not everybody's going to be able to rent at this property. Right. As long as the tenant understands the expectations on the front end of the relationship, and listen, this was happened this time, this is what happened at this time.
I think the value of having that attorney on standby, I think that's again, speaking from experience, that's a really big deal, because it's all about keeping someone's attention sometimes. Yeah,
and this is an attorney I've dealt with for years. She was with me at the very, very beginning, so I've had an established. I've had to be in those court proceedings with the specific attorney and knowing where we draw the line. And in this specific case, I knew that it was going to be a really, really hard line from the beginning, and I'm just not wavering from that. Because at the end of the day, I consider these properties, I consider myself to have vested interest in these properties. It's my responsibility to protect that, and how we're going to do that.
So do you help with long-term, short-term, medium-term?
All of the above.
Okay.
So there's varying fees associated with that, but at the end of the day, the answer is kind of yes. Okay. We're a full-service property management firm. In this specific instance, with some of my agents who use me as their property manager, they do all the leasing, so they do all the maintenance as well. And me, I just collect rents, pay out this, and it's really kind of minimal property management, and we have a certain fee structure for that as well. So all across the board, I do short term, I do long term. There's a lot of due diligence between each variances, but yes.
So knowing the short-term rules and guidelines for this, county or this city, et cetera, you have to be, aware of
it.
Aware
Pretty
of
much,
all that.
a general rule of thumb is pretty much anything less than 90 days has some applicable tax, some applicable permit, and it varies depending on city, county, certain jurisdictions, certain areas. It's pretty cumbersome, but once some of these Airbnbs downtown, they're just bringing in the cash. So I don't discourage people from venturing down that route, but there are some hardships and frustrations associated with that as well. Yeah.
Cross your T's and dot your I's, because I had a scenario just recently who had a cute, sub house, whatever you want to call it, and that was going to be the rental. And an appraiser brought to our attention that he didn't think it met the permit requirements from a size standpoint. And everybody pushed forward, and the buyer was like, I'm not going to move forward unless I know I can get this permit or that, right? Because it is so key. And did they not wait 60, 90 days, go through this whole ringamaroo to find out that they were off by like 3 feet of what they needed, to get the permit. Wow. And so they would have bought this home with the expectation that they could have rented it with, proper permitting, and they could not. So it is important to know what your buyer is getting into. And if you aren't well versed in it, working with somebody, and having, like you say, Monty, another tool in your toolbox to be more successful, that makes you more valuable, I think, as a real estate agent for sure.
So Blake, in this situation that, okay, I'm a real estate agent, I've got somebody who is that's thinking about buying an investment property. What's in it for me, other than I don't care about the $100 or $200 finder fee, but what's in it for me? Are you willing to give that back when they're ready to buy or they're ready to sell that property, for instance? Or is it gone and I just helped my investor, but I didn't get anything in the future? Tell me how that works.
Yeah, that's good to think about.
Yeah, we're all about honoring the relationship. I established this with the understanding that this is going to be a slow build, primarily because we want our relationships with our realtors. Realtors, not realtors, not docator, realtor. Sorry.
You're speaking Carey Ann's language now.
I was going to say get with it, Blake.
I'm sorry.
I learned that hard a few times.
I knew if I did not correct myself, Monty would call me later.
Hey, do you know that I was in a presentation? I think this is right before Monty and I met, or right after we met. And did he not come up and said, "Hey, just to let you know"? And I was like, well, I come from the music. Everything's added a little extra flair, There you go.
But
I love it.
I lost my train of thought here. But anyways, yes, I am all about honoring the relationship.
That's key. That's important.
For me, one of our mottos is service before self. And as a resource for agents to lean on, Hawthorne Carter, as well as myself, I'm an agent, and I love knowing that I can pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. How can you help? Or how can I get help here?
Many people rent for different reasons. Sometimes
totally.
they rent because they can't qualify to purchase, right? And so you're preparing them for a future purchase down the road. Sometimes that person is looking for a long-term rental investment, right? Where they're trying to make their money, 10, 20 years down the road. Or, they're looking for it to take advantage of the market shifts like it did this past year, and they want to get out.
And let's say it was this past year and there was that we hooked, let's say I hooked you up with an investor who had a property, and he hired you to manage that property, and then the market continues to climb, and next year it's worth $100,000 more, so he decides to sell it. Is that yours, or are you going to give him back to me?
No, that I do not consider that to be my jurisdiction.
Right.
My thing is to park your clients with me for a while. Let me continue to nurture them. I keep my realtors in the mix. I have a specific portfolio that I'm working on onboarding right now. It's a 15 property portfolio. And he has maintained this relationship with these specific investors, who is this group of 4. And he decides that he's like, I'm just not in the property management, because everybody thinks they can do it, but really when push comes to shove, not really a lot of people can do it.
I don't want to do it.
And he just
said,
whether
they can do it, they don't want to do it. I think
exactly.
That's the decision there.
There's a lot of agents who said, I'm licensed in the state of Tennessee or wherever, and I could do it. Why not? Let me stand up this side. And it doesn't work that way. You got to have the aptitude and the attitude to do it. But that's needless here to say. What this specific broker is doing is like, he realizes that the money's for him. It's just not there. It's not working. He wants to continue to focus on that relationship with those investors. So he's transitioning those investors and that portfolio over to me, so we can emulate the same contract, but he can continue to service and maintain that relationship while his clients are also still being maintained.
Without the day-to-day.
Right. He doesn't have to do the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do with our agents, and it's fruitful. I have a lot of agents who are realizing the importance of having a trusted vendor to call on and say, Blake, what do you think this would be renting for? And I always give a swing. I always provide that extra level of care and maintain that relationship and offer incentives for all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, know your lane. You know, a lot of these agents, like I said, are thinking that, okay, I could make a quick buck doing that. But are you prepared to answer the phone at 12 o'clock when someone's...
Do you have somebody yeah, exactly. Do you have a plumber or do you have an electrician who'll go over and run over and take care of it?
If you are, power to you. Let's talk and let's kind of work together, because I'm growing.
Well, I think it's a full-time. I think it's a full-time job.
Totally
my partner, they have quite a few rentals, and they had a company working on it, but then they looked at the dollar figure. They were paying a full-time job for that, and so while she was raising her children, she was going to take over that. But I mean, she's out and about and left and right and all over the place. I mean, that's a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not ready for that, for sure, leverage your time, right? Like you're saying, you can definitely, as a real estate agent, help that investor find that next money-making property, right? Type of thing.
So Carey Ann, let me see if this will work. I just want to prime the pump here for ideas, because I know a lot of agents just don't go down that investor that hole or that venue because they just don't know a lot about it. So let's say, and I may be getting ahead of myself, but let's say that somebody bought their home 4 years ago or even 2 years ago for $300,000, and now it's worth $600,000. Okay, but the point is they've got an accessible $100,000 to $200,000 and still within an 80% LTV. Can they take that money, that equity dollars, and buy an investment property?
Yeah, so you can up to 89.99%. So it's right just shy of 90%.
Wow.
You can pull the equity out up to that, combined loan to value, so your current mortgage, whatever that gap is, up to basically 90%. And that's on a primary home. Now, let's say you have another investment property and it's free and clear. You can pull that up to 85%.
Wow.
And pull that equity out to purchase another.
So you could keep having your equity.
Yeah, and right now, so many people, if they have the ability to pay cash, which you and I see that a lot, why are they paying cash? They want that home, so they feel like that's what they need to do, or they are doing that just because that's just their normal protocol. You can do a delayed financing, cash out refinance, take advantage of the low interest rates right now, utilize that money, and go buy 2 other money-making properties, right? And
with the rate of rent right now, I don't know why but I hope people are catching what we're putting down here. Is like, if you have a database of people that you've worked with over the years, there's a good chance they've got some serious equity right now. What if you could reach out to them and say, hey, if we had a turnkey operation here where we could take the hassle off your back and take some of your equity and cause a positive cash flow while it's being managed by someone else, a third party that's fully connected and everything and professional, will do a great job. Why wouldn't you, as a real estate professional, why wouldn't you want to encourage your clients to do that?
Yep, and they can do that up to down as high as 15% down, right, which does require mortgage insurance. So a lot of people look at that 25% down requirement. But the other thing, just speaking of the rents, so depending on if they have a history or not, we could utilize the proposed rents and take a portion of the proposed rents to go towards them qualifying for that particular home.
Wow.
So some people approach, I won't qualify to purchase an investment property. They can use proposed rents, which we receive from the appraiser, who does an average calculation of what the proposed rental would be for this particular area on that particular size home. And we use that, give a percentage of that towards their income for qualification purposes. So there's a lot of perks out there to help those people move in the direction of purchasing, their first investment properties. And before the rates do shift, I mean, rumor has it the rates are going to slowly continue to increase, which I do do think that they need to, but you still today can get an amazing, low interest rate, on an investment property. And those multi-units are key, right? I mean, you could duplexes, triplexes, et cetera, et cetera. Those are huge wins for some folks.
Cool. So Blake, again, what other points would you like to make here on your Hawthorne Carter? It sounds like a great idea. Sounds like you're dealing with the owner of the company and not just somebody who is, filling a gap. Maybe. No offense to anybody filling a gap, but I know personally that one of the differences that makes Connie Realty One Group, Music City, what it is because this is Connie and I's baby. Okay. We live and die for Realty One Group, Music City. And so I know that there's a difference in the processes and the attitude and the commitment to excellence and outstanding experience for the consumer, our agents, when there's a real ownership and interest. Not to discount anybody who's working for somebody whatsoever, but I just know there's a difference. Can you speak to that? I mean... it's you were an employee before,
right?
And I got a feeling you did a great job. Now you're the owner of the company. How does that make a difference?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I go back to owners when they're trying to qualify a property owner or property manager. Ask them, or just it's evident just by looking at them. Is their heart in it? Is your heart in it? And for me, everybody who talks to me about property management knows that my heart's in it. And I'm not in this to make a quick buck. I'm not in this to scalp clients off of real estate agents. I'm in this for the long haul because I truly believe in service before self. I truly believe that to build a right business, you need to put your heart and your heart into it. And I know that's all fine and dandy, but like push comes to shove, you could take a look at my track record and see that I've had success in this just by approaching it with this mentality. And it's not a complicated business model. It really isn't. But it takes a village to make sure that we're doing it and we're serving our clients well. And I don't work with everybody just because it's the motivated, qualified, coachable, and appreciative. Are you MQCNA? And a lot of these investors, seasoned or not, don't really approach this. They think the property manager is
below them.
Whatever. It's below, they're below us, and I get it. There's a little bit of an ego there. Whatever. And I could talk to anybody, but at the end of the day, it's like it takes much more than just Googling property manager, calling the first one on Google, and say, "All right, here's my property." It takes much more than that. It's like qualifying a real estate agent or qualifying a mortgage lender. It's like we were just talking about that before we hit record. It's like, come on, do your research.
No, it was really
Ask
interesting.
Questions.
Yeah, it was interesting to me. I hadn't talked to anybody. I hadn't owned any investment properties for a long time, but Connie and I bought one down in Florida, and I reached out to a handful of property management companies down there, and it was mind-boggling the difference of response that I got. It was just a real reminder. That's why I brought it up again here on mic about, what makes you different, okay? Because at the end of the day, people have to buy you and your conviction before they care about what you're serving, or, what you're doing, And it seems like, if I know you at all, it seems like you're speaking from a conviction that you truly do really, truly embrace the idea of managing other people's property for them.
Oh, absolutely. And I pride ourselves in being one of the first fully customizable, almost a la carte, if you will, property management services in Middle Tennessee. I don't know, maybe in the nation. I don't know.
Think big. I love it.
I'm setting out to lead because the traditional old style property manager, we're out of that. It's no longer that. We're in this new age of sexy realtors and sexy property managers. It's like, well, come on, we need to do better for this or this specific industry. So anyways, I'm passionate about it, and it's evident in my work. And I think that the more real estate agents realize that, okay, I need to stay in my lane. I need to partner with someone. We have different conversations and different varying partnership agreements and all that kind of stuff, just because it's not one size fits all. So do your homework and come work with us.
Do you know that you can help a first-time home buyer, buy a triplex? This is so cool.
Wow.
They can buy their first home, live in one of the units, put 3.5% down, rent out
in
the
the
other
whole
in the triplex. So
right.
they have to live
Buying
in one.
the whole thing.
Yeah,
for 3.5%.
3.5% down. They buy one, and they rent out the other two. Right.
Wow.
Basically, make money to live there, and utilize somebody like yourself, and still be in the green.
Right. Wow.
And receive an income. When you take a second to know what's available out there, now you do need to search out proper triplexes and or duplexes and things like that, and what's available. And I knew there were some, out in the Murfreesboro area for the MTSU, section. And we've helped many people, going to school, bought their first home, rented out the other units, type of thing. So, being a real estate agent, knowing what's available, knowing that there are some great professionals out there that want to work with you to help create this value add, right? Create a program so you can go out there and help more people, achieve the dream of not only ownership, but also, in a few years, the unit could possibly even be paid off, right?
What an incredible way to get started.
Huge win. So there's a lot of perks. And I'm a big fan of, when you are in sales, real estate agent, lender, et cetera, when you create these programs with a title, with something that you can offer, which includes A, B, and C, right? Meaning the property management, this and this, all these value adds. It helps you tremendously out there.
It's your credibility. It's going to get you in front of other people if you can add that to your portfolio of knowledge and expertise. And it's all about, we know this, but it's amazing how few agents really embrace that part of it, because we know that we need a great roofer, we need a great electrician, painter, and all these different things, because our number one goal is to be the top of mind of our database of people who know, like, and trust us, so we can stay top of mind. Well, if we can also be connected to a great property management, I'm telling you that I think there's a lot of folks that are leaving money on the table just simply by not tapping into that part of it, because they haven't bothered to investigate of who they can trust on that, and they're waiting for the tail to wag the dog, waiting for that need, and then it's like the agent who doesn't know their plan B should something fall apart on plan A. They haven't done their homework. And it's the same way when you haven't done your homework in this business. I mean, the reason why I own 10 is like, okay, I'm in this business. Okay, I should be able to manage that. I don't ever want to manage another one again, though. And I would defer anything to you in the future in a heartbeat, Blake. So let's talk about that property in Florida, okay, when we get off there.
I love it. Well, a lot of people do their first-time home buyer.
I will be charging a lot more than 10%, though. Let the record show.
I love it. A lot of people do first-time home buyer seminars or mixers or classes. Why not do, how to purchase your first investment, and things like that. Change it up. Be different. The more people that you can educate, so many people just don't know they can do it. So many people just don't think that they could qualify for something that could help their family grow, gain wealth through real estate, not just by the one, then the flip, and then they sell.
And because a lot of agents don't have that and haven't gone down that path, they don't feel qualified then to promote it. But you don't have to. I mean, I lived in Nashville for years and didn't own a house, and I was still a realtor, There's a lot of realtors out there. It's the same way here. You don't have to have investment property to share with a conviction. I mean, look at the values that have happened around here in Nashville and the equity people could be making right now, and the hero that you would be.
Usually one investor is not, if they're a true investor, they get the investor bug. They buy one, they figure it out, then they want to buy two, and they're coming back to you, because you're going to be their go-to real estate agent for that. So great things.
And go back to the importance of having your client being taken care of, and you're nurtured, and you're getting updates, and it's like, we have that e-com team, and your clients are being nurtured, your leads are being nurtured, right? It's like, it's just that much better, except that
you're not a bot.
I'm not a bot. I'm Blake Johnson. I'm a real estate agent with Realty One Group, and I also happen to be principal and founder of Hawthorne Carter Real Estate Services.
I love it. It sounds so good.
Yeah,
we're so proud of you.
Look, can I tell you the story about what it is? And this is kind of sentimental a little bit, so cue the waterworks, right? But Hawthorne is a tree that's known internationally as a tree of sturdiness and just beauty, but it also symbolizes love for a person, a place, or a thing that came into your life in the right reason, in the right time. So for me, I have a lot of Hawthorns. Monty Moore, Connie Moore happen to be Hawthorns in my life. My wife, Emily, she's a Hawthorne. There's a lot of different Hawthorns. So that Hawthorne is... It symbolizes my love for people, and right. So my middle name is Carter. My dad's middle name is Carter, and he instilled the importance of being an entrepreneur. Recently, I talked about being an entrepreneur and embracing that spirit. And so for my dad to pay homage to him is Carter. So Hawthorne Carter. So anyways.
That is great, because I was going to ask where the name come from, and I love that.
Wow.
I love
so Blake, real quickly
behind.
before we end the session
How do people
here.
get a hold of you, Blake?
Yeah, how do we get hold of you, Blake? What is your email address or phone number? How do we do that?
Of course. So my cell phone number is 615-809-1269, and my email is BlakeJ@HawthorneCarterTN.com.
Do that one more time.
BlakeJ@HawthorneWithAnE.Carter.TN.com.
Fabulous.
Good stuff. Hey, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
It's always a joy to have you. And thank you again, everybody, for joining us this week. We cannot wait to have you come back next week. You've been listening to the talk of Music City Real Estate.